The village had been abandoned for over 50 years, or at least that's what everyone claimed. The houses stood like hollow skeletons, their windows broken, their roofs sagging, and their walls covered in creeping vines. The silence of the place was overwhelming, as though time itself had been swallowed up and left nothing but the faint echo of what once was. Yet, those who dared to wander too close often spoke of whispers carried in the wind, voices that didn't belong to the living, and shadows that moved against the moonlight. People called it cursed, haunted by the restless souls who had never left. They named it the place of echoes, for it was said that if you listened carefully, you could still hear the voices of the dead calling out in despair. It was on a cold autumn evening that Daniel, a young documentary filmmaker, arrived at the edge of the forgotten village. He had grown up hearing the legends from his grandmother, who always warned him never to step foot there. But curiosity is a dangerous thing, and Daniel wanted proof, not just for himself, but for the world. With his camera bag slung over his shoulder and a flashlight clutched tightly in his hand, he stepped across the threshold into the ruins of the past. The air was unnaturally still, heavy with a chill that didn't match the season. Daniel whispered to himself, trying to mask the fear gnawing at his chest. His footsteps crunched on the gravel road, and with each step, he felt as though unseen eyes were watching him. He started recording, speaking into the camera, his voice trembling slightly. This is echoes of the dead, a village abandoned in the late 1960s under mysterious circumstances. No official records tell us why, but local stories claim it was because of a curse. Tonight, I'm here to find out the truth. He pushed open the door to the first house he came across. The wood groaned under his touch, brittle with age. Inside, dust filled the air, and cobwebs stretched like delicate wires across the corners. Broken furniture lay scattered across the floor, and a single rocking chair sat in the middle of the room. Daniel moved closer, shining his flashlight over it when suddenly it began to rock slowly back and forth. He froze. His breath caught in his throat as the camera in his hands recorded the motion. There was no wind, no explanation, yet the chair creaked steadily, as if an unseen occupant was still there. He whispered, "Hello." His voice barely carried across the empty room. For a moment, silence returned. Then, faintly, like a breath against his ear, came a whisper. A word he couldn't make out, but it chilled him all the same. He spun around, but no one was there. His heart raced, but he pressed on deeper into the house. Upstairs, he found old family photographs, their faces faded and scratched as though someone had tried to erase them. On one wall, words had been carved deep into the plaster. "We are still here." Daniel lifted the camera to capture it, and as he did, he heard it again. Voices, soft at first, then growing louder, overlapping, a chorus of whispers that filled the house. His flashlight flickered, and when the beam steadied, he saw movement in the corner of the room. A dark figure stood there, its shape barely human, its head tilted unnaturally to the side. He blinked, and it was gone. Shaken, he stumbled back outside, gasping for air. He told himself it was exhaustion, his mind playing tricks. But deep down, he knew something was wrong. The village wasn't empty. It never had been. He walked toward the church at the center of the village. Its bell tower loomed over the crumbling houses. The cross at the top crooked and rusted. The heavy wooden doors stood ajar, and as Daniel stepped inside, he was struck by an overwhelming smell of decay. The pews were overturned, the altar shattered, but what froze him in place were the symbols scrawled across the walls, circles, runes, and markings that looked ritualistic. His flashlight beam trembled as he swept it across the church. Suddenly, the camera picked up a sound. Not whispers this time, but crying. Soft, pitiful sobs echoed through the church as though dozens of unseen mourners were grieving together. Daniel's chest tightened. He called out again, "Is anyone here?" The crying stopped instantly, replaced by silence so deep it made his ears ring. Then, from the shadows near the altar, a voice answered, a child's voice. "Help us." Daniel's legs went weak. He backed away slowly, but the doors behind him slammed shut with a thunderous bang. His flashlight flickered wildly, and in the split second of darkness, he saw them. Dozens of faces, pale and hollow-eyed, staring at him from the pews. When the light returned, the pews were empty again. His breath came in short gasps. He knew he had to get out, but some force seemed to keep him rooted there. The child's voice came again, closer this time, whispering directly into his ear. "Stay." His skin prickled, and suddenly the air grew unbearably cold. Frost formed along the walls, his breath visible in the beam of the flashlight. He swung the camera wildly, and in that moment, he saw them clearly. Figures translucent and twisted, moving slowly down the aisle toward him. Their mouths opened in silent screams, their eyes black voids. He dropped the camera and bolted for the doors, slamming his shoulder against them until they burst open. He stumbled into the night air, his lungs burning, his heart pounding so hard he thought it would burst. He didn't look back as he ran, but he could hear them following, their whispers chasing him, filling his mind with voices that weren't his own. By the time he reached the edge of the village, he collapsed to his knees. The whispers faded, the air warmed, and the silence returned. He dared to look back only once. The village stood in darkness, its shadows deep and unbroken. But just before he turned away, he saw them, all the windows glowing faintly with pale light, and countless faces pressed against the glass, watching him go. Daniel left that night, swearing never to return. Yet the voices never left him. Even in the safety of his home, he would wake to whispers in the dark, his name spoken by voices long dead. His footage captured nothing but static, as though the village itself had erased the evidence. And still, sometimes late at night, he would hear the rocking of a chair in the next room, though no one was there. The echoes of the dead had followed him, bound him forever. The village may have been abandoned, but the souls trapped there had found a way out. Through him, they still whispered, still reached out, still haunted. And anyone who listens closely to his recordings claims they hear it too. Faint voices layered beneath the static, calling out in desperation. Some believe the curse of the village spread with Daniel, that the dead had chosen him as their vessel. Others say the village itself lives on in the minds of those who dare to know its story, growing stronger with each telling. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: the echoes never fade. They linger, waiting, whispering, searching for new ears to torment. And if you've listened this long, perhaps they've already found you